So newly released court documents are shedding some light tonight on a bizarre story that really does sound like something straight out of Homeland or a terrorism movie. It's an FBI translator who was investigating an ISIS fighter in 2014 and then fled the United States for Syria and married him. So why are we just finding out about this breach? Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge digging into this unbelievable story. Catherine, good evening.
Thank you, Martha. It's hard to explain why any woman would get involved with ISIS, but tonight the Republican chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee says that's exactly what happened with a federal investigator.
We just had an FBI agent, female FBI agent, who, was having an affair with an ISIS operative. That kind of shows you sort of the strangeness, how somebody could be attracted to a figure like that in ISIS, and that FBI case is very disturbing to me.
Newly unsealed court records, first reported by CNN and independently confirmed by Fox News, show an FBI translator married this German rapper turned ISIS pitchman Dennis Cuthbert in 2014. The FBI contractor Daniela Green was investigating Cuthbert when she lied to supervisors and traveled from the U.S. to Turkey and across the border to ISIS-held territory. Green, who still had an American husband at the time, wrote in emails that life in the ISIS caliphate was frightening, dangerous, and she might not survive. And she even believed she would go to jail if she ever got out alive. These records filed here in D.C. say Green's conduct was a serious breach. The U.S. attorney wrote that Green had, quote, violated the public trust, the trust of the officials who granted her security clearance, and the trust of those with whom she worked, and in doing so endangered our nation's security. The case got zero publicity for months because the records were sealed by the court, and critics say Green got off with a light sentence, 2 years in probation, because she cooperated with the FBI. A bureau spokesman would only say they've made policy changes to avoid a repeat in the future. Martha.
Catherine, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Joining me now, Pete Hoekstra, the former chairman of the House Intel Committee. Pete, welcome. Good evening. It's shocking that she would only get 2 years for this breach. And why was this kept so quiet, this whole thing?
Well, I think that's a very interesting question. The FBI, as we all know, during the recent election, was more than willing to talk about cases that were under investigation, whether it was the Hillary Clinton emails, her server after the election, saying, hey, we're investigating the Russian connection with the Trump campaign. But when it came to talking about the FBI, it's kind of like, we need to seal these records. We can't, put into the public domain that we've had a major breach within our own organization. Let's bury it. Let's bury it for 2.5 years. Even right now, the FBI appears to be very tight-lipped about what happened and really not sharing a lot of details with Congress. At least that's what my sources on the Hill are saying.
I mean, so we don't know what intel she may have shared with him, what she may have disclosed, what their interaction might have exposed about our sources and methods, all of that. Big concern.
It's a huge concern, and good practice in the intelligence community says you have to assume that everything that she knew has been shared with ISIS, and so the FBI has to do a damage assessment of exactly what now happens or what ISIS now knows about their policies, procedures, their tactics, and those kinds of things, and they have to go back and they need to change all of those, because the assumption is that whatever she had, whatever intelligence she had, is now in the hands of ISIS.
I mean, you read the emails that she wrote. It's just, I can't even imagine being in the position that she's in, and she's sort of writing about it like, oh, this might be bad. I might be in trouble. This could be dangerous. It's just, you wonder what kind of person she is, and I guess we're going to learn more about that. But, the other thing that really struck me, Pete, especially given the warning that went out today, a broad warning for travel in Europe. I mean, these people live among us, and they are friends with people, as this guy was with this FBI agent. Talk to us, and we're putting some of the particulars about this alert on the screen. But how serious is this?
Well, I think that's absolutely essential that we look at this as the pattern and not one isolated data point. Remember, after 9/11, it was connect the dots. Americans need to connect the dots. We've done it in Europe, but we need to connect San Bernardino, Fort Hood, Orlando, this event. They are among us. Their message is seductive, and people fall victim to it. We've connected the dots in Europe, with Nice, with Paris, with Brussels, with what's going on in Germany, in the UK. Who would have expected expected that at this point in time, you know, that our State Department would be sending out a travel alert warning Americans that going to Europe, stay aware of your situation, because Europe is at the highest level of alert and threat that it has seen in decades. And Europe has taken way too long to connect the dots that this terror is among them and is a real threat.
And there are thousands of potential operatives in Europe, according to this report. Pete, thank you very much. Good to see you tonight, sir.